Hi, this is Kathy Bakken from Craft with Kathy. Thank you for joining me on for our Christmas in July Day 2. We're going to be working on some home decor and gift giving items this evening. So grab something to drink, get comfy, and let's get started. We will be using Chalk Couture products, transfers, and chalk paste this evening. This is our brand new Odette board. It's a white chalk board with a raised black border. Very decorative. And we're going to be using the Santa I Can't Explain transfer. I've already taken this out of the package and cut it into individual pieces. The transfers come with little lines to show you where to cut. And I'm not going to be using the text that says son of a nutcracker. I'm going to use the Santa I Can't Explain along with the bell and the ribbon. And I need to determine how best to fit that transfer on this board. Before using a transfer, it's imperative that you fuzz it. And what that does is it allows you to apply lint to the back of the transfer, to the adhesive on the transfer, so it's not as sticky. This is my fuzzing cloth. It's a two-sided cloth, one side coarser for fuzzing, the other a little bit finer for cleaning boards. I'm going to remove the transfer from its backing and apply it to the fuzzing cloth. Our transfers are vinyl and silkscreen with an adhesive backing that allows them to be reusable. Generally, a transfer can be used 8 to 12 times or more with proper care. This is a little bit larger of a transfer. This is a size C. On the backing, I always put the name of the transfer and something to describe the particular piece. This is from the set called Santa I Can't Explain, and I'm going to write the word text so that I know that this is the text portion of the transfer. This helps after cleaning the transfers to know which backer goes with which transfer, especially when the pieces are close in size. So as I fuzz this transfer, instead of lifting the entire piece off the fuzzing cloth, I'm only going to lift half at a time. This helps prevent having the transfer fold onto itself. If your transfer by chance does fold onto itself, the best thing to do is to put it in a cold water bath immediately and let it set, and then gently wiggle the pieces apart. You really don't want to pry them. You don't want to put any stress on them. I'm fuzzing multiple times here to get a lot of lint on the back of this, and I think it's fine now. I want to look at the back of my surface to make sure that I'm using the right side up based on where the hangers are. This particular board can be hung vertically or horizontally. And I think I need to apply this transfer horizontally. I want to put a bell at the bottom and bells at the top of the ribbon, so I have to be careful that there's going to be enough room for it to work that way. I want to position the transfer and then apply it, smoothing it down gently with my fingers so that I could feel and make sure that there are no air bubbles. Now I can't really apply my bell until after I pick up the transfer with the text, so I'll put that on later, along with the ribbon. For the text, I'm going to be using our black velvet chalk paste, and I've already stirred the paste and made sure that it's the appropriate consistency. You want your paste to have the consistency of a yogurt or like a whipped sour cream. You don't want it too thin because then you don't get the appropriate coverage, and you don't want it too thick because then it won't go through the silkscreen portion of the transfer. If your paste does thicken up, all you need to do is add a spritz of distilled water to it and stir it up. If your paste gets too thin, you've added too much water, just leave the cover off and it will thicken up. I'm applying the paste now with an even pressure, making sure that it goes through the white part of the transfer, which is the silkscreen. I want to be sure that I have complete coverage and that I've chalked each area of the silkscreen. And I also don't want to leave lines, so I'm going to go back over this and remove any excess chalk paste and any lines. If you can butter toast, you can do Chalk Couture. The excess paste is going back into the jar. And now I'm smoothing across. I think I'm going to lift this from the side. You never want to pull up on a corner because you can distort it. So always lift either from the top or bottom or left or right. I'm gaining purchase here a little bit to get a grip on the transfer, but I'm not pulling it up. Now that I actually have the side and something to hang on to, I'm going to lift the transfer at a 90-degree angle and hold the board down as I do that. This particular text has a distressed look to it, and at first I thought I had missed some of the area to be chalk, but no, it's fine. That's how it's supposed to look. I've now put the transfer in a water bath, about an inch or so of cool or cold water. I usually like to clean my transfers as I go along, so they don't sit in the water bath too long. The less you leave them in the water bath, the longer your adhesive is going to last. Now let's see where to fit the bell. The bell I'm going to use gold shimmer chalk paste with. I think that'll look good. But before I use it, just like the other transfer, I have to fuzz it first. So I fuzzed the bell on the fuzzing cloth, and now I'm going to apply it to my surface. I want to be careful that none of my transfer, the stickiness of the transfer, goes over my words that I've applied in the black velvet paste. I could actually dry the text with a hairdryer or a heat gun, but that's a little noisy, so I'm going to try and avoid that step right here and hope it doesn't cause any issues. Isn't that gold shimmer paste beautiful? Now if I work quickly enough with this, I could reuse that transfer a few times without cleaning it. Oh, that looks good. Now I want to apply 2 bells or create 2 bells at the top of the top of the text also, but I'm struggling to find a way to fit it without the transfer laying on top of the black text. So I've just gently pressed down around the actual silk screen so that I don't lift up what I've already chalked in black. I'm pulling it up from the bottom now. Oh, that looks pretty good. I'm going to apply it again. Try not to smudge my existing bell or alter the text that I've already chalked. Would probably be a good time to clean the text transfer instead. I'm removing any excess chalk paste and putting it back in the jar. Now I'm going to remove the transfer. And it looks like I've smeared the first bell. As you're working on a project, it's easy to remove any mistakes using a wet paper towel. Once the chalk is dried, it obviously could still be removed, but you just have to spritz it with water and let it set a minute or two before you wipe it off with a paper towel. This comes off easy as it hasn't even started to dry yet. So I'm going to have to try that again. Our chalkboards are all reusable, so you can change your design with the season if that's what you'd like. If you've chalked something and you want it to be permanent, you can also spray it with a spray sealer so that it can never be erased. Let's try this again. Looks like I bumped the other bell. See if I could apply a little bit of paste and straighten that out. In retrospect, I should have waited until they dried. And I'm going to put a little red ribbon at the top, created with the transfer or with the ribbon portion of the transfer. I'm removing any excess paste that I have there, any smudges or mistakes that I made where I might have went off of the transfer. And I'm going to clean off my bell. I'm using a Clorox wipe. I've already rinsed this in my cool water bath and tried to remove most of the chalk paste. I need a fresh wipe here. So I'll do the surface that I applied the chalk paste on first, cleaning the silkscreen and the vinyl itself. Some of our deeper pigmented chalk paste will leave a residue which looks like staining on the transfer, and that could be easily removed with one of our board erasers. Here's a board eraser that I've cut into a pie wedge, and I'm using that to remove the residue. The residue or the staining actually does not impact the usability of your transfer, it's fine, but if you don't find it aesthetically pleasing, you can use the board eraser to clean it off. Now I'm flipping the transfer over, and I want to use a Clorox wipe again, this time to remove the lint. Of course, any chalk paste that might be in the silkscreen on the back, but primarily to remove the lint on the adhesive side so that this renews the stickiness or the adhesion of the transfer. Once I have all the lint or most of the lint removed, I will set this transfer aside sticky side up to dry. If I put it sticky side down on something, it could actually dry to it and I'd have a hard time lifting it up. So you want your transfers as they dry to always be sticky side up, And you might find that a cookie cooling rack works perfectly for this, especially the larger transfers. Definitely don't put them anywhere your pets might stumble or wag a tail. You don't want it stuck to them. Now I'm going to clean the transfer with the wording. As you can see, I couldn't rinse a lot of the black chalk paste off of this in the water bath, so I am going over it with a Clorox wipe on the surface to remove any excess chalk paste. And then I'm going to show you again how you can remove the staining with a board eraser. I'm using a soft, gentle, circular motion generally to remove the chalk paste. I'm not scrubbing it. Might look like it, but I'm not scrubbing. It's a nice light pressure. You want to treat your transfers with kindness. Watch how well this board eraser works at removing the black chalk. Board erasers are named board erasers because they can also be used on the board. If you've had a transfer that's been sitting on a board for 6 months to a year, when you wash it off with water and a paper towel, you might find some ghosting on the transfer. It's a perfect use for a board eraser. That'll take the ghosting off. We make many different kinds of surfaces now. Our premium surfaces are porcelain and magnetic, and they have a 50-year warranty. Most of our surfaces are reusable. Our board or our box frames are not, as they're all wood. They're not chalkboard. They're one-time use only. But actually you can circumvent the one-time use there, because if you don't like or you want to replace what you've already chalked on it or inked on it, but I would say use chalk, removing the chalk is going to cause some blurring or staining of the wood. All you need to do is repaint it, and you could use that box frame again. Okay, time to fuzz the ribbon. Bring my surface back, and now I'm going to apply the ribbon above the bells on the left side of the surface. The ribbon is actually going to be draped over the bells somewhat, so I'm going to chalk red ink over part of the bells. I want to gently press down, but not too firmly, because I don't want to peel up any of the chalk surface below. But I want to press enough that the transfer stays in place as I apply my red chalk paste. I've previously stirred the red chalk paste and checked the consistency so that I know that it's good to go. I'm going to apply the paste in a nice, even manner, making sure it goes through the silk screen, and watching for any lines. Then I'll remove the excess, put the excess back in the jar, and I could peel up the transfer. Always peel from left or right or top to bottom, never diagonally. I'm going to put that transfer in my water bath. I do have a little smudge on one of the bells, which I could erase and redo if I chose to. What do you think?